Good morning, everyone. Today is the 14th of Iyar, and it's today's Pesach Sheni. Get out of the sun here; it's beautiful sun, but messes up the shot a little bit. We're going to start with counting Sfiras Ha'omer on page 138. Last night we counted 29, so let's say together: Hayoim, Tisha, Ve'esrim, Yoim, Sheheim, Arba, Shavuos, V'yoim Echad La'omer. Today is 29 days, which is 4 weeks and 1 day of the Omer. Today is also Pesach Sheni. Pesach Sheni is a special day. It's opportunity for those that were unable to bring the Karban Pesach, this Paschal sacrifice, to be able to, due to being impure, 1 month to the day later, to be able to bring that offering up. So we commemorate this day by eating matzah, preferably shmura matzah. And the message is that it's never too late. We always have a second chance. Forgive me, I'm a little under the weather, so you might hear my voice, but we'll try to push forward. Page 84 in the Chayenu chapter. We're going to just give a little overview of the last few chapters as we enter Perek Memches, chapter 48. So in your Chayenu booklet, you'll see that it explains that chapter 46 explained a simple yet profound way to attain a love of Hashem. All we have to do is mirror the love that He has for us. Simple. No matter who we are, no matter how great or how small, Hashem puts everything aside to have a relationship with us. And He brought the analogy of a great king who picked up and lifted up a homeless nobody, let's say, and brought him in close to his inner circle, inner chamber. Chapter 47, translated man's response to the above meditation as a personal exodus, leaving bodily bondage for freedom of spirit, specifically articulated in the Shema that we say every single day. Now, chapter 48 returns to discuss Hashem's greatness in and beyond creation. Imagine we're talking about the king coming to take a person out of the pile of garbage in the worst part of town and bringing him into his palace, into his inner chamber. And we're saying, Hashem, it's so much greater than that from the perspective of Hashem who created the entire universe. So now in this chapter, the Alter Rebbe is going to lay out how Hashem's greatness is not just in this world, and the fact that we're even able to exist with the energy of Hashem is so great. He's going to give us He's going to lay out the concept of tzimtzum, of contraction, how the Eibishter has to give up so much in order to allow the world to be able to exist, meaning to hide His godly light. And then chapter 49, which is upcoming, will culminate this theme, inspiring us to mirror Hashem's selflessness and how it represents the blessings leading up to the Shema, or how it is represented in the blessing leading up to the Shema. So in today's lesson, without Tzimtzum, contraction of godly light, creation would not be possible. Perek Memches, chapter 48, having previously explained. Just give me 1 second. So, Perek Memches, having previously explained that Hashem showed His love for the Jewish people by taking them out of Egypt, the Alter Rebbe concluded chapter 47 by describing the love Hashem shows His people by releasing them from the spiritual Egypt, from the spiritual dimension of Egyptian bondage. This spiritual exodus is daily manifest within all Jewish souls. It's natural, therefore, that Jews should reciprocate this love like the water that mirrors the face of the beholder, and thereby strive to overcome all obstacles that hinder their service of Hashem. When someone does you a favor, you try to reciprocate that kindness, at the very least by saying thank you. But also, if a person who's so kind to you, who does so much for you, and then they say, hey, can you do such and such for me? Like, of course, I'm so happy to return the favor. So So we contemplate the greatness of the blessed Ein Sof. Again, Ein Sof is eternal light. A person will come to realize that as his name indicates, so is he. Hashem is infinite. Just like we say, Or Ein Sof is eternal light. Hashem has no end and no limit. And which is united with his essence in perfect unity. So being infinite, God's light cannot give rise to created and finite beings unless it first undergoes this series of self-limiting, self-concealing contractions known as tzimtzum. So how could an infinite God with infinite light produce finite things? The only way is by self-contraction, holding himself back some way. How? Let's see if the Alter Rebbe lays it out here for us. How the world's descended from the light of God, the infinite light without contractions. But rather went down from one level to the other by cause and effect, the lofty level being the direct cause for the manifestation of the level immediately following. So it was one thing after the other. You know, when the slinky goes down the stairs, it just keeps going one to the next, whatever. If that would happen, such as the case with regards to thought and speech. When a person speaks, he thinks about it, and then he says it. Thought is the cause, and speech is the effect. So though thought is more spiritual than speech, it's more abstract, if you will. The two levels stand in certain proportion to each other. They come one after the other. Both are composed of letters that form words. So if that was the case with regard to God coming down into this world, the world would not be able to be created in its present form, in a finite and limited order. From the earth to the firmament is a distance of 500 years. 500 years journey being a finite dimension. Even though it sounds like a crazy amount of time, you know, how are we going to get from here to there? Back in the days of horse and buggy, it would have taken 500 years to get there. But now with spaceships and rocket ships, what does it take? 11 minutes. Okay. But it's still a finite dimension. There's still, even if it's 500, which is a lot, it's still limited. And similarly, limited in distance between one firmament and the next. I don't know what that means exactly. If anybody could ever tell me what firmament means, I'm all ears. But otherwise, let's just say one galaxy to the other galaxy, you know, whatever it is. Between each one, there's a distance of 500 years. And all the above applies to this world. Even in the world to come, in the higher level of Gan Eden, and the abode of the souls of the great tzaddikim and the souls themselves. And needless to say, we could also add the angels. All of them are in the realm of bounds and limitations, no matter how high and lofty and spiritual they are. And angels, you can see, they can do whatever they want. They're above time and space. Nevertheless, they're a creation, which is limited to some extent. There's a limit to their apprehension of the light of Ein Sof Baruch Hu, which shines upon them through being clothed in Chabad and so on. So souls and angels in these worlds comprehend godliness as a result of his vestiture in the Chabad of those worlds. Though lofty, their comprehension is nonetheless limited. So anything in this world that you could ever imagine, an atom, a spaceship that can go miles and miles into, no matter how far it can go, there's some point where it can't go any further, or it'll be destroyed, right? The malachim, no matter how high they are, the angels, no matter how spiritual they are, there's a limit to how far they can go. This noson. Shenehni miziv hashchina misangin ba'or Hashem. So there's also a limit to the enjoyment that they derive from the rays of the Shekhinah and their pleasure in the light of Hashem. They're incapable of deriving enjoyment. See, we might get the external dimension of the light of Hashem, where we fail to appreciate the great spiritual light. But at least when we learn Torah, we get a certain enjoyment. At least when we do a mitzvah, maybe we scratch the surface in a very, very bare minimum way. But the angels can get a lot more. They can benefit from the light of God. Still, it's limited. They're incapable of deriving enjoyment and delight in an infinite order, without being nullified out of their existence and returning to their source. If the angels would get too close to the essence of God, not Atzilus, but above that, Keser, whatever you want to call it, Nati, what's the highest level? Atzmus, the essence of Hashem. They wouldn't become nullified to God. They would just cease to exist. Boom, they would just disappear. So even the creatures of the high spiritual worlds, if they're created, if they're called something, even if they're the highest malachim, the highest source of the souls of the highest tzaddikim, they're still finite beings. And in order for them to be created in a finite manner, the process of contraction, which we're going to talk about tomorrow more, in order for them to be created, the process of contraction must be invoked, has to be utilized. Being finite, they are totally dissimilar to their source. Hashem is infinite, and they, whoever they and whatever they are finite, and the infinite godly light that exists prior to contraction. So the takeaway for today is Hashem is endless and infinite without limitation. And the world is finite and limited. So there must have been a real diminution, a degrading factor, bringing down that energy, not just a little bit, but like if there's a quantum leap, what's the opposite? A quantum descent and contraction of divine energy in order for the world to even be able to exist. All we're doing here is to show how much Hashem loves us, how much Hashem cherishes every single Jew and their mitzvah and their efforts, and they're striving to do better, and they're striving to reach higher, and striving to have a relationship with Hashem. Because Hashem, even just to create the world, let alone nurture each and everything that exists, and waiting for that Jew to do a mitzvah is just an unbelievable concept. We're going to try as best we can to wrap our minds around it in some tangible, meaningful way. All right, Chavra, have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. All the best. Go do a mitzvah.